Something also, Emma, that I really wanted to speak with you about was the perpetrators, the people that are doing these things, the offenders, because I am a strong believer that they also, we need to work out what we're going to do with them, whether they've the people, of course, the people that have offended, the people who have offended and served their prison sentence and now they're back out into the community, and the people that have these thoughts but have never offended, therefore in the eyes of the justice system they are currently innocent. What are we going to do with these people that are actually carrying out these crimes? Have you got anything to say about that?
How long you got? So in 2021, Priti Patel stated in her strategy for tackling child sex abuse that the UK are world leaders in tackling child abuse and that we place victims at the heart of approach. Well, I've been watching this space carefully for a long time. And from what I see, hear and read, this just simply isn't the case. So, when you think back to the conversation we talked about earlier, Gareth Davis, the baby he raped, that baby will be, so Gareth Davis got 27 years. He'll probably be out sooner. Yes. The baby will be only 27 years old when when Gareth is released from prison. So, the consequences of that will have a huge and negative impact on the survivor's life. It's like a ticking time bomb. But the focus remains on Gareth Davis, because it's news when he's coming out, it's news, when he's, what he's going through inside, it's news, but it needs to not be news. And we need to focus again on the child of the offence. So, I think it's a big problem, what's going on. I interviewed 3 sex offenders last year, actually. As part of research for my next book, and one in America who's on parole. And 2 here in the UK. Now, what was really interesting, I'm not there to give them sympathy. What I feel we need to do as a society is to start, obviously, toughening up on sentences here in the UK, understanding the survivor over the perpetrator, hands down, but also understand more from the perpetrator. The trouble is, I spoke to the governor of the most prolific prison of sex offenders here in the UK last year, and they are doing great work within their means, right? There's only so much they can do with the funding that they get, and they have great knowledge of the perpetrators that come in. And some are so psychologically impaired that releasing them is probably never a good idea, and never will be a good idea. There's all sorts of different strains of sex offenders and why they have offended. So understanding more. I'm only scratching the surface with some of the work that I'm doing. I'd like to know more, actually. So I'm sort of doing what I can to learn more about that side of things. I sit on an advisory board for sex offenders as well, so I can hear more of this conversation and understand more of this conversation. Although sometimes I think, I don't know if I'll ever really understand it, because the conversation is enormous. So we need to, I believe, as a society, the tackling child sex abuse strategies need to be seen, need to be heard, need to be given more thought on the survivor. Politicians have got their fingers in pies of everything, right? Priti Patel does what she can to make a change. But ultimately, Boris Johnson, unfortunately, in 2019 on LBC said investigating historic child sex abuse cases is spaffing money up the wall.
Saw it.
Yeah, and you've got Crispin Blunt supporting Khan MP on his child sex offences. This all shuts survivors up. It puts survivors back in their box. It puts the lid back on it, because no one knows what to say or what to do. So we need to change that. Again, it starts at the top. We need to I believe we need to toughen the sentences. I believe we really need to look at, what happens to release of a sex offender here in the UK, and understanding what communities can do, because you know, no one knows if there's a sex offender in their community, and I think that would be pretty good knowledge to have.
Yes.
So that would then help the conversation. This is, I mean, it's a minefield, this conversation, and I think we could probably chat for the rest of today on it, because this is ultimately, you know, yes, we can educate the children, yes, we can educate the survivors, and help the government, you know, hopefully get the government to understand the difficulties to support people. But this conversation, the top conversation, really should be matching about what can we do to reduce the crime.